Hey everyone, thanks for joining for the COVID-19 chat that we're having today. Today we are talking about online learning and platforms and professional development. Annie and I have invited some folks from libraries across the state. So what I'd like to do is start off by having everyone introduce themselves and share what they're hoping to get out of the chat today. So I'll start. I'm Dina Brown. I'm the Emerging Trends Consultant at Idaho Commission for Libraries. And today I'm hoping to be able to get some information and resources and ideas out to other folks at libraries to help them feel more prepared in choosing platforms for different types of engagement that they're planning on having online with their communities. I'm going to hand it over to Annie, who's also joining me from the Commission.
Hi, I'm Annie Gaines from the Idaho Commission for Libraries. I'm the continuing education consultant, so you see me a lot in your emails and on webinars. And so I'm most excited today to learn about all the different platforms and things that you're doing online so that I can better share those resources with other people. Yeah, and I'm super excited.
All right, next I'm going to hand it over to Fiona.
So I am Fiona May. I'm the Youth Services Supervisor at Caldwell Library, and I am looking forward to hearing lots of solutions to all the problems I've encountered and some great new ideas. When I meet with people around the state, I hear all the fun things they're doing. It makes me inspired to try stuff.
Great. Next, I'm going to pass it over to Jamie.
Hi, I'm Jamie. I'm Jamie Thill. I work at the Garden City Public Library. I'm the Adult Services and Outreach Coordinator. I handle a lot of the marketing too, probably most of it. But yeah, I'm just here to learn some new things for programming, since that's mostly what I do, and just share some tips on what we've done and some of the successes we've seen.
Great, thanks. Next, I'm going to pass it over to Nick.
Here's the unmute button. Hey everybody, I'm Nick Mattson from the Community Library Network. I am the Emerging Technology Librarian, and that's a position that we're still trying to flesh out. Excited to hear what everyone else has been doing, kind of in these gap times, and also moving forward as we have. What does reopening look like, and start having those conversations as well, because those are conversations that we're definitely having at this point.
Cool, thanks Nick. And Tim.
Hi everybody, I'm Tim Mattson, also from the Community Library Network. I am a youth services specialist. I mostly do STEM and outreach programming to our schools and our community, but obviously that's not really a thing right now. So most recently, I've been a video editor for a lot of our online programs that we've been doing. And yeah, I'm excited to hear what everybody else is doing for their online programs, what's working, and also how to just connect with the community right now when we can't be face-to-face.
Great. And Gretchen.
Hello. Hi. I'm Gretchen Perkins. I work with the Caldwell School District. I'm one of the K-8 library coordinators, and we have finished school, so I'm kind of summer breaking it right now. But I'm just interested to hear what the rest of the state, how things are going, especially public libraries, because one of my big aha moments was with school libraries closed and public libraries closed, where are kids getting books? And, you know, if we're all closed again, you know, what are we going to do to give kids access? So I'm just interested to hear what's going on, and love to hear ideas and answer any questions you guys may have about school libraries and what we've been doing. So yeah, that's what I hope to get out of this. So thank you.
Thanks, Gretchen. And next I'm going to pass it over. Ooh, all the squares just shifted. Hold on, where was I? Let's see, is it Corrine?
Yep, that's Corrine. Hi, everyone. So my name's Corrine. I recently moved to Boise, Idaho in January from Southern California. The last library I was at was a research and archive library, and also inside with a garden. So it's a garden research library, Sherman Library and Gardens in Corona del Mar, California. And I was a volunteer cataloger. I helped photograph some of their historical photographs, as well as some water documents that were donated. And I'm wrapping up a research project for one of my grad programs I'm in right now. And once that's done, I am looking forward to a next placement in a library in the area. So thank you. I appreciate being here.
Yeah, thanks for joining. What a cool job it sounds like you had. Awesome. Next, I'm going to pass it over to Christina. Christina, we're just sharing where we're from and what we're hoping to get out of being on today's call. Sorry to put you on the spot. Go for it.
That's okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Christina Taylor. I am a youth services project coordinator for the commission. So I mostly work in the early literacy area. I jumped on because we were planning to do a facilities camp that was going to go virtual, and we were looking at platforms. And so we are not doing that now, but I'm still looking for more information in case we do something similar in the future. Thanks.
Cool. All right, next I'm going to pass it over to Stephanie.
I'm Stephanie from Aberdeen Library, and just as always, just looking for ideas and listening, see if I can find anything that will help.
Great. Always good to have you on the call, Stephanie. Next, I'm going to pass it over to Jerome, Public Library. And if you need to respond in chat, that is totally fine, which is what I think Jerome Public Library is doing. So I'm going to pass it over to Maria.
Hi, I'm Maria Ricks. I work at the Meridian Library District, and I've been doing some online programs through the library and incorporating some new ideas for some of them. I'm on the school age group that's working on programs for that group. And so I just come to talk about some of the things that we're doing and what are some of the things that are happening around the state and come up with some new ideas.
Great, cool. So I'm excited that we've got kind of a mix of big and small libraries on the call, mostly public libraries, and it looks like, so joining us from Jerome is Quincy. Hi Quincy, kids programs at Jerome. Do both the children and teen programs. We have moved to online videos for our story time, but I'm really looking for something for our teens, yes. Like so many things, I feel like that's been the evolution for a lot of libraries that I've been seeing as they're starting with kids programming, seeing that as the greatest need in their community, then trying to figure out teen programming, and then kind of adult services after that is sort of what I'm seeing folks figure out. So hopefully we can get you some ideas for connecting with teens. Quincy, I do know, Annie, would you be willing to go find the link to the, or Christina, I guess, the youth services spreadsheet? There's a spreadsheet that Jen and other youth services folks across the state have put together of programming ideas. So Annie will go and find the link to that, which you can find on the COVID site, but we'll stick it in the chat to make it easier for you. No reason to make you go hunt around for it. So it sounds, what I'm hearing is a lot of folks are kind of looking, just looking to get some ideas, some lessons learned, and maybe figuring out how to connect with specific communities. And I heard things specifically about how to get books into the hands of kids. So cool, thanks Annie. So it's a shared Google Doc. You're welcome to add any resources to that have been useful to you as you've been providing programming as well. So I'd say about half the folks on the call are people that Annie and I invited to share their experiences, the platforms they've been using, what tech they've been using. And so I'm gonna just kind of do a round robin if that's all right with folks. So, so if you could kind of pick one or two of the big kind of programming things that you've been doing, and and talk about what platform you've been doing it on, what's something that has worked really well with it, and what's something that you've kind of struggled with, or something that you could maybe use the brain trust advice on. So I'm gonna start back at the top with Fiona. So Fiona, if you would talk about kind of some of the programming you've been doing, what platform you've been using, and what's worked, what hasn't, and even maybe some of the more tech hardware components of what you've been using to produce stuff.
So I have been doing, I got inspired by the last meeting where we talked about story times when I wasn't doing anything, and decided to jump in and figure something out. One of the things I struggled with a little bit was quality of audio and video. As I was trying to use various equipment, I was very specifically instructed that I was only allowed to use library equipment, so no, like, don't use your phone. And the reason for that was to do with the Freedom of Information Act. If someone requests any of the information, I don't exactly understand how this would work, but somehow my personal device might be up for review. So that made it a little more challenging, but we had iPads, so that's okay. And I was going along pretty good. We had a couple different formats. We did Facebook Live. We basically stuck with Facebook because it seemed straightforward on a number of levels, and the copyright, like, some people had complained that on YouTube they were getting a little bit of pushback from copyright sorts of ideas, so I just didn't even want to go there. I just went with the easy one. The downside of Facebook is, of course, people are leaving Facebook. So do you have an audience? We had a small audience. Do you, you know, have a way to reach out to people that aren't on that platform? And the answer really is no. So it has its significant limitations. When Facebook Live works, it works pretty well. The feature I struggled most with was flipping the screen so that the text looked right. It seems so straightforward when I watch somebody do it, and then golly gee willikers, if I didn't struggle with it on many and many and many an occasion. At one point, pushing that button made my entire iPad turn green. I don't know why. I went online and other people said, my iPad turns green when I push the button. Something about connectivity, like network not fast enough. I was at that point inside the library, and there are some questions whether our bandwidth will accommodate live video. Not sure. So then last week, Facebook decided just to stop working. Our Facebook has not allowed me to upload video now for an entire week, and other people on the team have been struggling to post things like events. So we've decided to go with YouTube. It seems like it's going to be a little bit easier of a strategy to use, I hope. We're still working with things like there's ginormous files affiliated with any of this stuff we create, especially like the more inspired you are, the longer the program you create, the bigger the file you create, and then the longer it takes to upload. Like, uploading is, so that's fun. Ellie, my assistant, came across the information that every time we have a video, according to the Americans with Disabilities Act, we really should have a transcript or closed captioning. That is not as easy as it might seem, trying to create all that stuff. So we were spending hours and hours and hours trying to create what used to be everybody sits in the room, we share a book, and then we go home. Like, it felt very tedious, and it kind of still does. However, for summer, I've greatly expanded my thought process. I'm actually going to start a podcast if I can figure out what hosting service to use. So I'm waiting to hear all of you who have, I'm sure, already been podcasting and what you do. But the advice I've gotten is, because we don't want to have one more subscription, we're trying not to spend any money, to just go with our Amazon service, the S3 service. So we'll see, that might work. And I looked into some free options. I'm hoping to do some art programming. It's going to be very low key, it'll probably be on YouTube, probably be recorded. So yeah, that's kind of, other than silly stuff like trying to get my iPad set up and trying to get Amazon to actually deliver a little mount so that I could put the full-size iPad on the tripod. That took like 4 weeks to get me at mount. So I was trying to go with the cheap option, and it turned out to not be so great.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what I got.
That's awesome. Thanks, Fiona. Supply chain is something to think about when you're thinking about producing stuff. So even if it's not something that you're like using on the video in it, but it's something that you need to help produce it, is something, yeah, definitely think about. I know at the commission, we're struggling with that, trying to get tech to send out to libraries. I love that you're inspired about doing a podcast. I think Nick Grove would be an amazing person, obviously, you know, to reach out to on that. There's one that has, I think it's called Blueberry, is one that I had looked into. I also, I was on a podcast where actually what they did is they just recorded it as a hangout. And then, so there was like a video option if you wanted to watch that, which was just our floating head. So really wasn't that exciting, or you could just listen to it and they uploaded just the audio track. So that would be another way to maybe think about doing it. You could also just do record, you know, just have the audio track in YouTube and just have a still, you know, image of the library logo or something would be another way to go. Thinking about ways to not have to worry about licensing. I love that it sounds like you're being flexible and adapting to the current scenario, which I know everyone has been doing. Are there any questions for Fiona? Does that bring up any aha moments for anyone? You're muted, Fiona.
The other thing I was going to throw out was that I did manage to get out into the world, like physically places, 2 different times with books, which was so nice. I was at school homework distribution sites, and all we could do is have somebody go over to the car and they'd shout out like 5th grade boy, and I'd pick 2 books, and that's what 5th grade boy got. So it's not great. Who knows what 5th grade boy likes reading or has the capability to read, but it was a thing. And I had a bunch of books from the underserved that Christina's been working on. Thank you, Christina. Yay. We were so happy. And then I had some books from Book It Forward. I hope those of you who give books to underserved communities know about Book It Forward, because they are an awesome group. Even if it's just Diane Schwartz in her living room cleaning books for hours and hours and days, which I think is what it's been. So a couple more things.
So Fiona, the stuff that you've been doing has mostly been stuff that's been like pre-recorded and you're just publishing it. You haven't really been doing anything, correct me if I'm wrong, where there's been like active live engagement with an audience.
It was, my programs were about half and half live and recorded, but when I went to the iPad, I could no longer see the comments. So I had my phone in my hand, yet another tech challenge, right? So I'm looking at the iPad, trying to remember to look at the camera, and then I'm looking at the phone, trying to see if I can identify if anybody's there. It was a little more than I could handle, so I just put the phone aside and said, you know, it was basically recorded. There wasn't an interactive component.
Okay. So gets at the idea of how do you have multiple staff helping and also staying a safe distance from one another at the same time. Yeah. Lots of logistics to think about.
Yeah, there was somebody scheduled that was supposed to be helping me, but she kept getting pulled into meetings, and it was always Tuesdays at 11. So,
okay,
you know, that's kind of how these things go.
Sure.
And I think our plan for programming is that there's no youth programs in person scheduled through the summer.
Okay.
That's the way it's going to be. So if we're going to have any youth programs, they need to be virtual.
Yeah. I'm hearing from a lot of libraries that that's what they're planning on doing. Cool, thanks Fiona. Next, I'm gonna pass it over to Jamie, because Jamie, Garden City has been doing some programming that I feel is maybe a little more interactive than what Fiona was describing. So take it away, Jamie.
Thank you. All right. So yes, we are using Zoom. We decided that Zoom was going to be our platform for everything. So we're doing a lot of the youth programming I'm not in charge of, but they're doing a lot of just pre-recorded stuff. And then the adult stuff, we're trying to just make it more interactive, like get the community feel for all of our patrons. So everything, like most libraries, everything that we're doing is going to be virtual for the entire summer. Some things that have been really popular are exercise classes. So Qigong and yoga have been very popular. We have had 50 people registering for the program. So what we do is we have people register. We put out all of the marketing for it, all of the posters, and then say, you know, if you want to join, email this email and we'll send you the link. So they have to do that. And then we have probably like 50 people registered for the Qigong classes, anywhere from 15 to like 20, sometimes 30 people showing up actually. So you're gonna get less than what you register. Other classes that are really popular are, that are coming up is the Intro to Birding with the Golden Eagle Audubon, and container gardening with the Master Gardeners. So people, I think they want to do things, well, I'll get to that later. Anyway, let me just tell you what we've got first. So we've got Spanish, conversational Spanish. I taught a resume writing class. We're gonna do an avoiding scams class. I know I just sound like I'm advertising all of my classes, sorry, but I'm really excited about them.
They're awesome. So could you talk a little bit about the thing that I have really liked about what you were doing with some of the programming at Garden City is that it did seem like it was a little more interactive.
Right.
And so can you talk a little bit about what that looks like in the event itself?
So for all of these, yeah, we're just, it's a Zoom meeting. We're just kind of, I mean, what I've done is I've done presentations. It's like a presentation style for some classes. I mean, it's just, well, what I did is I just sat down and I said, how did these look before? Like, how is this gonna work virtually? How did they look? Why were they popular in the first place? Like I went and I looked through all of our programming and all of our statistics over the last year. And then I said, what is popular? What are people going to? And then not only that, but like, what do people value? Like in our surveying and stuff, like what do people like? And then how do we transfer it to Zoom? Like, it's weird, right? It's not like the live thing. So, so yeah, like the resume class was just a presentation, you know, where I already had the presentation written up. And then people could ask questions, and it was just very interactive. Like I would present and people would just kind of be like, hey, I have a question about this. And two, I think what's important before you start your presentations or anything, you should ask people what they came to the program for. What are they looking for? That way, you know, you're hitting all of the important spots throughout your presentation. As for like Qigong, yoga, those are just exercising. People are just leading different moves for people to do throughout the classes. So I guess it just depends on what the information is for what they look like. But I wanted to kind of just let people know like the way that I go about like planning a program. Like I said, you want to look for what is important to your community. And then I think people are really wanting to engage with ways to learn new things. So they want to know how to do something simple. And then they also are really interested, our people are really interested in nature. So that's huge. We're just trying to do partnerships too. So if you have people that you partnered with in the past that worked out, like just keep reaching out. That's why we went to Master Gardeners. There's the university extension. All of that is working for us. People seem to just really respond to those kind of classes. So what else? Oh, multi-generational. It seems like just looking for things that are gonna like appeal to everybody, not just one age group for adults. So like we have the, you know, the people emailing me saying, oh, I wanna go to this class, my mom does too, and my sister and her kids, can we all go? So just like looking for topics that reach out to everybody, the whole family.
Are you recording these Zoom sessions and like archiving them somewhere?
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, and that's totally cool because it seems like you're trying to have like an experiential program where like it's about the thing that's happening as it's happening rather than like keeping something on YouTube for people to access later. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, yeah, it's I've always thought of our library as, I mean, all libraries, but our library's just been like this really tiny, quaint little environment where everybody knows everybody and they're all a big, you know, a community. And so we're trying to get that feel back, you know, and there's a lot of people that just need that interaction, that social interaction.
Sure.
So I think they're responding to
I
that.
love that you're focusing on like past successes and mapping those onto future successes. I think is a great way of looking at that, and obviously always listening to what your community is interested in. Is you can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, definitely. We want that to like drive us in the direction of everything that we're doing. Just thinking of the people and responding to what they want. Another thing I wanted to share was that email templates are really important if you're going to do Zoom. So we have a lot of classes going on, and so people have to be able to respond they have to be able to email someone and get that link, that Zoom link. So it's going to be a high volume of people asking for this link. And we kind of kept it we didn't want to just give the link out because we weren't sure like if the people were going to be doing naughty things with, you know, on there, if they had the link, just anybody. So it's a lot of maintenance to do that. So you want to create email templates. And I just created, you know, tons of Microsoft Word documents that are just like, hey, you registered for this class, thanks a lot. Here's the Zoom link, bye. And then you want to keep like, you want to send out, like the way that it's worked for me is that I send it out initially and then I send it out again, like right before the class. I just make a list in my Outlook of people that I need to send it to.
So you're doing all of that kind of manually?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we're doing that manually. And we have other staff too who are in the library doing curbside, and they are helping as well. So people have been looking for things to do to fill the hours, and yeah, this is helpful.
So it sounds like, Jamie, most of the stuff that you've been doing, it sounds like the platform you've been using is Zoom, as far as having that engagement happen, and then you've been promoting like on your website and your library's Facebook page, and then it sounds like the email templates is another key factor. That's a really good point, especially with the high volume of programming that y'all are doing. It makes life easier for everyone. I know I've been doing that for stuff as well, where I'm like, oh, I see that I'm getting the same question over and over again. I'm gonna go create an email that I can just copy and paste and send to someone.
I was like, I can't handle all this. It was just getting really confusing.
So good on you for realizing you were overloaded and needed to do something about it.
Some way to control all of that. Try to. But yeah, I did a commercial too, and I wanted to thank you because I did a commercial for the library for our Extreme Book Nerd program, and I used iMovie, the thing that you taught me to use in that video making class, and it was awesome. It was a lot of fun, and I just love that. That editing software is just so easy.
It's so great. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Yay! I'm glad to hear that. Oh, thanks, Jamie.
Yeah, thank you. It really worked well. So
I'm going to pass it over to Tim. And Tim, we invited because Tim has been, actually Tim and Malorie, if you want to kind of tag team on this one, you both have been providing a lot of videos, but that are like highly interactive as far as what you're doing on screen. So there's a lot of stuff going on. And in my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, how many takes did it take for you to get that to work right? And like, what has gone wrong? You know, how much stuff have you spilled on the carpet where you've been doing this? And so Tim, if you want to start us off and kind of talk a little bit, so you both have been doing these really great, like kind of STEAM videos that you've been sharing out.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said earlier, one of my main projects that I work on is STEM programming for our district. And I kind of did what Jamie was talking about, thinking which projects go over really, really well with the kids every single time. And how can I turn those projects into really easy to consume video for the kids to just watch. I also wanted it to be somewhat interactive so that they could pause the video and work on something for themselves, then come back to it, and it could just totally be on their own timing and hands-on as well. So the main ideas I had were, what is something I can demonstrate that they'll also have those same ingredients at home? Or what is something that I can have here at the library they don't have access to, but then give them an activity that they can do at home, even if they don't have the stuff that I do. So an example of that is I did a science experiment that just used hydrogen peroxide and soap and some yeast. And I figured a lot of people will have that on their shelves already. And if not, I'm demonstrating it right here for them and they'll be able to see all that happen. And then for a video where I knew they wouldn't have the supplies, I did a bandograph generator video and showed them how that works, talked about static electricity, and I gave them some ideas at the end for the types of experiments they could run at home with their own static electricity, balloons, and stuff like that. So we opted to do Facebook and YouTube for these particular videos, just because they are something that can be watched over, and if they wanted to go and get the supplies, then they can always come back to the video and watch it that way as well. So we did want these ones to be something that the kids could go back to and interact with that way.
Cool, I love it. Malorie, can you talk a little bit about your experience creating STEAM videos? I love your setup, Malorie, where it's just a book track with the stuff on it. It's great. And I know Malorie had a power outage earlier, so I'm not sure how her connectivity is right now. Apparently there was a huge power outage from Shelley to Rexburg. So I don't know if you noticed that she dropped off the call a little bit earlier. Malorie, are you still there? I don't know that we can hear you. All right. Oh.
Okay, I'm here. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, woo, figured it out. Okay, I don't have video, but at least I have audio. Yeah, we've just got a little book track. It's really what we had available and what was in the room that we decided to record in, which has recently changed because we got some complaints about our background wall color. So we moved to another room. But kind of along the same lines as what Tim was saying, I really wanted to try to make projects that kids could follow along with at home and that their parents could help them with, or that they could do on their own with supplies that they were going to have in their kitchens or around the house. I really try in my videos to encourage them to use other things if they don't have the same supplies that I have at the library, but we've been using pretty basic stuff like cornstarch and water, vinegar, vegetable oil. I try to find any projects I can that are engaging, that don't require a trip to the grocery store. So we've posted quite a few of them now. When we first started, it was a little difficult to get going. I think my first video I recorded 5 or 6 different times before I decided that's good enough, quit obsessing about it, it's fine. So it's getting a lot easier now. We've been uploading them to YouTube. The first few that we did, we had our assistant director of technical services. He uploaded them and put closed captioning on all of them so that we could put them on Facebook and that they're accessible. But that was taking up a lot of his time, and he has a lot of other stuff going on. So he started using YouTube's closed captioning feature because it just puts it on there itself, and he just goes through and edits them. So that's what we're doing now. They get put up on our YouTube channel, and we're just posting 2 a week on Facebook to kind of keep people interested, and that's pretty much what we're doing. We're just trying to keep kids engaged from home if they're not comfortable coming into the library quite yet. So
sure. I love it. They're great. I think it's so strange that you had complaints about your background. That seems really strangely specific. I now need to go back and rewatch the video and like figure out what's wrong with the background.
Yeah, it's just a very bright blue cinder block wall, and I guess people it didn't appeal to them. So.
Wasn't resonating with your target audience. All right.
I guess not.
That's great. I like that you both are, cognizant of your users and who you're trying to get the content to, and realizing that they're potentially going to have limited resources, and that sometimes the interactivity, even something that seems like it's asynchronous, can actually be interactive, which I hadn't really thought of that actually until Tim said that. The idea that you can pause it, do something, come back and watch it again, I think is a great way of thinking about how just because it's being pushed out all at once doesn't necessarily mean that it's being consumed all at once. And you never know, kids might go back and watch it again. They might just watch it for fun and might not even be doing the experiment, but like they're still going to be learning from it, right? Cool, thanks, you two. Next, I'd like to hand it over to Gretchen, who's got kind of a unique perspective on all this because you're with the school district. And so I was thinking it would be interesting for folks who are predominantly at public libraries to hear what school librarians and school teachers, what platforms they've been using and what that engagement has looked like with their students.
Sure, yeah. So first, just a little bit of background, just to kind of give you an idea of how we kind of went into the shutdown. Our school closed March 17th, and then we didn't start distance learning and online learning until like the 1st of April. Some of the schools started, they wanted to do a survey. Survey was really interesting, and I think it kind of speaks to what we're talking about right now. But some of the results, they saw that parents that they surveyed, there were about 1,838 parents that answered. Over 79% said they had internet, but only 59.4% said that they don't have any device of any kind. So we think what they meant was they had internet access through their cell phone, because 59.4% didn't have a Chromebook or an iPad or anything like that. So we kind of, that was a challenge that we had. And then, hello, little person down there. So cute. I love it. Anyway, so we had to do packets too. We had to print out, teachers had to plan for 2 weeks. They printed out a packet for people that didn't have internet access, and packets could be picked up by the school. All of that was coordinated and announced like on Facebook and through email. And then teachers also tried to do online through Google Classroom. We're a Google school, so we did send home Chromebooks with some people. People that came to the school could come and pick up a Chromebook and take it home for their child. But again, we don't know if they had internet. It could have been offline. And so the platform that teachers mostly used was Google Chrome Google Apps. So they use Google Classroom, but also Google Meet to have online virtual office hours. The first couple weeks, those were well attended at my school. I work at a middle school.
Oh, we just lost your audio, Gretchen, or at least I did. Yep. Still can't hear you.
Okay, I can hear something now.
Okay, we can hear you again.
Am I here? I'm back. Read my lips. No. Anyway, so part of the reason attendance probably tapered off was students were told their final fourth quarter grades would be based on their third quarter grades. So they could improve their grades, but nothing was going to count against them to make their grades worse. So a lot of people just, you know, there was not an incentive there. But to be fair, you know, we couldn't expect people when they didn't have internet access or devices at home for their kids to do the online distance learning. So, yeah.
So the thing that strikes me is that, you know, as you talking about how, you know, school's done now. I mean, now it's really done. For some people, it was done maybe a couple of months ago, but now it is officially done for most schools in the state. And so thinking about how public libraries usually kind of pick up that ball and run with it for the summer for students, and you know, making me realize that like summer reading is going to take on a whole new meaning, I feel like, this year for public libraries than it has in the past, just because, you know, always cognizant of wanting to lessen the summer slide as much as possible, but this year it's like a summer plus slide, because there's been a few months previously that that students haven't maybe been as engaged with learning as they had been previously. So I love that that public libraries across the state are creating content that students, that assuming they have a device and internet access, are going to be able to engage with. But Gretchen, your point about, and I remember you shared those statistics in some other meeting that we were in, which are staggering. And I know that Boise School District, I think, did a similar thing where they sent out a survey and were really trying to get devices in the hands of every student that they could, but realizing that not everyone is going to have access to online learning. And so I love the idea of like, well, maybe your platform is paper. You know, and what does that look like? How do you, and also getting, Gretchen, I think you were the one that mentioned something about wanting to figure out how to get books into the hands of kids.
Right.
What if it's more than just books? What if it's also activities?
Right.
And I know some libraries have been, you know, working with their local food banks and using that as a way to get resources out to folks in their community. Patrick mentioned that putting something in like utility bills is another way to think about going, which is super interesting. I know I get mine digitally, so I don't exactly know what that would look like, but
so we actually send our newsletter out into the utility bill, and the people that are signed up to get it online also get it.
Cool. Nice. It's an added PDF. I love that.
And I would say too, the Caldwell Public Library and Fiona have done a great job establishing a relationship with our school district. And I just want to encourage you, the public libraries, keep putting out that content, keep making your videos, share that you're doing that if you can with your school district office, with your superintendent, and then they can put it on their school Facebook pages and other ways. We have a school district newsletter through Peach Jar that they send out through email to parents. So, you know, I don't want people to be discouraged that access is an issue, because it's going to be an issue in Idaho, even in, you know, and we have a lot of rural communities that don't even have an opportunity to have internet access, or they have MiFis or hotspots and that don't work well. So just, you know, keep doing what you're doing and putting out that content, share it with your, you know, your school superintendents, teachers, school librarians, And because we're looking for that kind of, that kind of content and those kind of things for our students too. It's just going to take us a while to get there where we can see a huge percentage of people using that content. So
cool. Thanks, Gretchen, for those encouraging words. Next, I want to pass it over to Nick. If you want to, are there holes that you feel like you can kind of address that people haven't mentioned yet, and especially from more of the tech aspect of things?
Sure, and I think the one piece that we've noticed in our network is we have 7 physical libraries, and we have some outreach vehicles in our network. And what we found was our large libraries, some of their staff had been able to establish a well-established social media presence. So they were using Facebook to great avail even before this had happened. They'd been making a consistent effort over the last year before all of our closures to have a lot of Facebook presence. So that was posting staff pics, and that was posting, hey, look at this cool plant that we found in the front of the library. And there was a lot of organic reach that had been happening there. But it was not something that was spreading to a lot of our smaller libraries, as many of those libraries are 4 staff members, which is typically 1 full-time manager and 3 part-time employees. So a lot of the time they don't have the time to be doing that kind of social media reach. So one thing that we're going to be doing through June as summer reading gets going is content that's created is being shared on the Facebook pages for each one of our district libraries. So we have a district page as well as a specific page for each one of our libraries. And the content that's created is being shared across all of those Facebook pages. That way, those libraries that might not have enough time to create that content are still having content being shared with their members. One nice thing, one silver lining for the shutdown, is it actually gave us some time to say, hey, we're not doing social media as well as we probably should be. Let's start doing that. So this is giving us some time to actually set aside and say, let's actually put some time into this. Let's actually get some content created. That way when things go back to normal, we'll have some content created instead of being like, I need a video for Monday, but I haven't even started it yet. Gah! We're hoping that we might have 3 or 4 videos created. So it's okay, I have one for this Monday. I need to start thinking about what I'm going to be doing for the next Monday. So this has actually given us some time to take that pause and say, let's actually get some things going here. Another piece that we noticed with the videos that Mr. Tim was creating, we posted them, instead of posting them on YouTube and then sharing that link on Facebook, we were posting it to YouTube and also posting it to Facebook. The primary reason for that is Facebook prefers Facebook videos. So even if you have the exact same video, you put it on YouTube and share it to Facebook, Facebook still is like, but it's not a Facebook video. So you get our algorithm counts it as second-class video, where if you host it on Facebook and host it on YouTube, both of those platforms like, ooh, a YouTube video, you get top billing, and ooh, it's a Facebook video, you get top in our algorithm. So that was something that we noticed through this time as well. We were noticing that that was something we could notice the algorithm. If it was a YouTube video that was being shared on Facebook, it wasn't getting as many hits as those Facebook videos that we were posting there as well. So that was another piece that we were considering during this time. Trying to think if there are other, the one other thing I might mention is we had a couple of presenters that were lined up during the month of March. And obviously those programs that were designed to be face-to-face didn't happen, but some of those presenters came to us and said, well, we still want to do something, what can we do? So that's where we were creating that pre-recorded content. We were able to create a museum tour for the Post Falls Library. So one of our staff members went in with a GoPro, and they were having one of their specialists at the museum talk us through some of the local history, and we're doing another series with the Rathdrum Library as the Rathdrum Museum as well. So there's content out there, and this also gave us that time to reach outside of our library building, which we're doing so much of the time as well. But this also gave us like, ooh, what should we intentionally be doing? Ooh, this is something we've been wanting to doing. Let's actually start doing that content. So those are some things that we've been noticing through this time. And Mr. Tim, do you want to talk a little bit about the grab and go kits that we're doing because for June, we're going to be entirely digital. But yeah. Mr. Tim, would you mind talking about those grab and go kits? Because that kind of goes hand in hand with that interactive piece as well.
Yeah, I was gonna jump in after you and mention those specifically. So for the month of May, we've just been mostly experimenting with what's working, what's not working. And now that we've got all 7 of our libraries actually creating their own content, that was a huge part of it, was just the learning curve, the training. For June, we've actually have 4 programs scheduled every week for our kids and early learners. And so it'll drop Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And each one of those programs will come with a grab and go kit. So every Monday of the week, there'll be a set number of grab and go kits at each of our libraries. And we're currently doing curbside pickup. So when families come to pick up their books, they can grab the grab and go kit. And then each day that week, they can watch the video and do the activity that's inside of that grab and go kit. And then on Fridays, we are also doing Lego Club. So for that one, we don't have grab and go kits, although we did create some checkout Lego kits for the kids who don't have them at home. And those are just some challenge videos. So librarians are basically creating a Lego challenge and filming it and kind of describing what the students should do. And we've created a Facebook group. So after the students create their Lego build, they then post those pictures to our Facebook group. So that's all starting next week. We have no idea how that's gonna work. So it's all just fingers crossed. Let's hope this goes well. But yeah, we'll be doing crafts and activities Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Lego programs on Friday.
Tim, could you talk about, that's rad. I want to do some of those. Can you talk a little bit about the creation of the kits in the like 2 minutes and what you're doing to make sure that you're not sending infected stuff out the door?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So what we've been doing is everybody's kind of just been taking a week that's theirs. We have enough staff throughout the district, and since we're district programming right now and we're not programming locally, we've been able to do that. The main way that we've been making sure things don't get infected out the door is we've been trying to quarantine things for the 3 days to just make sure that everything has died off. And then we also just been using gloves and masks and using all sorts of cleaning supplies and everything. We've been trying to get as much individually wrapped as possible, and everything's been going into plastic bags that seal. And that way we're trying to just keep things from spreading.
Awesome, cool. And I love the idea of the grab and go kits, because again, it's something that is being picked up at the library and going away, and you have no intention of ever bringing it back. So so that's I feel like the other part of that is making sure that you're not sending something to a household and then it's coming back and then you're having to re-quarantine it again before it goes out. And it's
exactly.
It's like you're giving a gift to people in your community. Who doesn't like that? Awesome. Are there any, so I want to be respectful of everyone's time. Are there any late breaking questions that people have?
Friendship bracelet action?
A lot of bracelets today. Yep.
That's
If you need a
impressive.
bracelet making video, maybe we can work something out.
Oh, there you go. I'm curious.
Actually, that's kind of a cool idea. Anyone ever use any patrons or teens to make a video or be involved in creating content for the library? Think about it.
I believe the first time we had a story time group gathering on Zoom, one of the librarians, and I wish I could remember who it was, had been doing that on purpose because she felt like that would be a better use of her time. And she did a great job getting kids and local people, I don't know, like Miss Idaho and Mrs. Idaho We're reading
Oh yeah,
stories.
that was Cascade
Yeah.
Public, right?
It was Sherry and Donnelly.
Oh, Donnelly. I'm sorry, Donnelly. Yeah.
Neighbors. It's understandable. Yeah.
They were really cute. I saw a couple of them with Miss Idaho, and then some kids doing story time to their, friends.
Fun way to become like a local celebrity. So I feel like one of the big things that I was hearing from everyone was this idea of definitely leaning on partners right now, whether that be partners within your own library system or community partners. So folks that you are partnering with to provide programming, just because programming looks different now doesn't mean that you can't still engage with those groups. And certainly that's a way to potentially lighten the load on y'all as well, because they've already got that content. And so you're just potentially providing the platform to promote it and connect everyone versus having to actually also create the content on top of that.
And I could add the few presenters that I've worked with and the few organizations that I've worked with to put on webinars in the past couple of months. The presenters have been like, please let me present to your people. I just wanna talk to human beings. So there might be that as well. Like there might be people in your community that are just like itching to see people on a screen and to teach them something. So that might be something to tap into.
Yeah, it's a good point. I like it, Annie. Gretchen shared they did a talent show video. Music teachers had staff and students send in videos of them doing their talent, and it was about 15 minutes long. I love it. That's super cool. What a fun idea. So I feel like there were some good lessons learned that were shared, a couple ideas about how to get stuff in the hands of people in your community, and how to connect, a couple of ideas of connecting, whether it be video online or more low-tech options. Was this useful? Did you get something out of this hour? Or are you like, I can never get this hour back? Okay, cool. So with that, I will thank all of the folks that we invited that came and joined us today. Thank you for sharing your ideas, your lessons learned, and your adorable kids and pets. I wish you well, and please remember to take care of yourselves and those around you. And with that, I'll tell you to have a good afternoon, everyone.